And I was looking through some of the things I've done, and one of the things that I've at least probably the only industry that I have more than one um, project or portfolio kind of entry for is the event industry, specifically home shows. So I've done a few websites for home shows, um, and so I was looking at some competitors and what they're doing, and like there's this one company called Dreamco, and I'll send you a link of what they're doing. And it's actually kind of hilarious when you like um, look into what they do specifically, because they targeted all these niches with AdWords, but then they don't offer anything specific, and they don't even actually have portfolio entries. What they've done is they've made like entire lists of like different websites that they've handpicked that someone else made, and they're like, pick out the design you like, and we'll make it. Um, yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Dreamcode design.
You know,
Um,
we have a partner that we work with. He actually sends us a ton of business. He does that. I kind of wish he'd stop a little bit, but what he'll do is he'll find other websites in the niche of that and say, look at some of these different design styles, and give us an idea what you like. It's all right. At least it gives us a direction on the style, I guess that they want to do. Obviously, we're never going to build it like that example or exactly like it, but I wish he would start looking back, because we've done a lot of sites for him at this point.
mhm.
Look back at the handful that we've done, and that pretty much runs the gambit of our design style we usually do. But there we go. Let's see what's in there. Like a new tab.
Yeah, well, it's just a landing page, and they're using AdWords to target, and then they're like they'll target event uh design, event web design, and then
Hmm.
they'll take that design, and then they just make this landing page, and it's decent messaging. But see those examples? They're like, these sites are here for your inspiration. Get ideas for color schemes, layout, functionality, and more. Now, if you don't read that, you think these are projects that they've done.
Yeah, it's pretty disingenuous, isn't it? Why would they not? I just wonder how if
Probably
they
because they
just
haven't
don't.
done it.
Yeah, they just don't have a portfolio, so they're showing somebody else's, but that just seems stupid. If
Yeah,
you're gonna
I
do
mean,
that, that's fine, but don't put it on your website.
right. And that's the thing. I mean, their website's a little clunky. Like I looked around it, and like there's some copy errors, and I don't know. They put a lot of work into their own website, and probably not a lot into what they've done for their clients.
Well, what
Now,
they're doing though, I mean, at the end of the day, the overall strategy is kind of like what we talked about, where they've got a specific landing page for event planner web design.
right.
Um, that's I think good.
Yeah,
But
no, and it must be working for them. You know what I mean? They're paying probably 10, $15 a click for it.
Jesus.
So they better have. I mean, they probably have a conversion rate of at least 40.
Well, they gotta have something if they're paying that much. Goddamn, that AdWords, man, I just can't. I haven't been able to get into that for years.
If the conversion rate is right, you can get good leads from it.
I go back. I got a bad taste in my mouth from it because I go all the way back to when I ran the insurance agency years ago,
Hmm.
and I had some pretty good rockin' SEO'd up sites that were I pretty much had a turnkey business at that point, but I wanted to try to go another step up, right? I wanted to expand it out again, and so back then, if you did AdWords right, it was a lot easier back then than it is today. It wasn't so competitive. I mean, I was one of the first companies to really push on online health insurance, right? Where you could apply for it and everything online. Actually got a lot of static and pushback from other people in the industry over it. They were crying about how it wasn't fair and shit. But I dropped 20 grand in a month in AdWords. And when it was all said and done, I just barely broke even. I made no profit, and so pretty much I worked for free. It added to my book of business, I guess, so there was a value, but it just seemed like I busted my ass for like 3 months off of that. But
Right. Yeah, I mean, AdWords takes a lot of management. That's the thing. And but AdWords is also something that, similar to SEO, right? Like if you're doing the targeted landing pages, if you're A/B testing, if you're doing all those things, you begin to streamline it, and then it starts to like make you more money, you
hmm
know?
well, listen, it's one of those things, just like SEO. That's why we try not to do too much SEO here. Is if you're going to do it, that's what you got to do, and you got to focus on it 110%. And unless we get to a point where we can staff up and have a team saying this is your only job, it's not.
Well,
So for now, we're just going to outsource that stuff to someone like you or whoever that wants to do that kind of stuff, because that's, with jack of all trades, master of none does nobody any good, in my
sure.
opinion.
But so I mean, but what I've seen here, and like if this is my biggest competition, because like I don't see a lot of people like targeting like event web design as like a thing, at least on average. Surprisingly, I mean, you've got like custom WordPress sites being like Webdify or like beautiful web design from some local web design companies coming up. But as far as like event planner web design, they seem to be the only competition in that. And like it seems like they're probably making some money doing it. But my point is, okay, well, instead of doing it the way they did it, I can add value, right? So I can say, I can make a booking system for an event planner, right? And then I can add that on as a part of what makes this specified to events. Because what they're doing really is they're just making web design and saying it's event web design.
hmm
And that doesn't mean anything really to people who know what they're looking at. Probably to people who don't, they're looking at that and saying, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. It's event web design. But all they've really done is they've targeted the title. I mean, I can show you their other. They've targeted the title and they've handpicked sites that they think look nice.
Have you done
That's
some
all.
keyword research on that specific niche
I
at all to
haven't.
see?
I haven't. No. Um.
So I wonder. I mean, I don't know that it's a huge niche, but that might work in your favor though, because it's so soft. Um, golly, I think, if you put together a simple package, like you said, where you've got, hey, we'll give you a booking system, kind of the whole
Right.
shebang, but bang a demo together. Or you've got some that you said you built to already
Right.
throw on
But
here.
they're not built with like any custom solutions. They were built just like that's the problem with this is that they were built as they're just web designs that have a nice design that are event websites, but they were custom made and they don't have any like software I built for them or anything like that.
Well, worst case scenario, you're on par with this other competitor, except they're yours. They're not somebody else's that you're saying go look at. So you're already ahead of the game. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say you bang a demo together with a custom booking solution in there, um, or something like that. Uh, if it's that soft, then obviously, unless your prices are super crazy, they're going your way. Uh,
They're interesting though. They offer financing. Um,
well, yeah. So listen, you do too.
yeah.
you know, do what we do. Do a subscription package. Do the hosting and everything for them, all in one turnkey deal. Um,
Now, what do
that's
you have your own hosting solution though? Like you did something with AW. I mean, I heard you talking about it in the chat the other day, like something with AWS, where because right now I just use WP Engine for everything.
yeah.
Well, I am on their affiliate program, so I get some money every time I launch a site, which is nice. I mean, it was really nice when I was freelancing. Um,
Well, if it doesn't matter where you go. I
I
mean,
can't do as much anymore.
You can get a VPS server from about anybody and host. That's not a huge deal. I'd just be really, really careful who you do it with. That's why we do it with AWS. We've never, well, I take that. The only time we've ever had any downtime is when I go into the server and start pushing buttons I shouldn't push.
Mhm.
And even then, it's like a few seconds, right? Never any real downtime from Amazon, and we control everything. That's why I like that. But you have to really kind of know what you're doing with AWS to do
And
that
I
kind of
don't.
stuff.
I've no experience with them.
But listen, there's a guy that we used to work with out of New York that he's a true assembler. He knows zero code. Um, and he does a similar kind of a lower rate sort of a deal for smaller mom and pop shops where it's he has different levels, but it may be $100 a month up to $500 a month would be his top probably range. But I think he uses Bluehost or somebody like that. He just
Yeah,
has a VPS server, and
I
he
worked
just
at with Bluehost VPS. It was like the worst thing
Oh
I've
yeah, yeah. We used Bluehost for a minute years ago. It was horrible. Downtime all the time. Well, this
it,
guy, I mean, we ended up you got to be really careful because this guy was almost out of business. We saved his ass because his box got infected with malware and it propagated across all the other sites. There wasn't any SU PHP or anything going on apparently,
and there's
and yeah, every single one of his sites was infested with malware and getting the Google error or warning.
Mhm.
And it took me about 2 weeks to clean that fucking thing out. It was
Now I could always just take the route of like keeping everything on WP Engine, and then you know, I mean they have agency hosting. It's as a service they offer. Don't think it's VPS. I think they give you shared servers, which they're shared servers. They're not.
well, even I mean, does WP Engine offer you a white label hosting sort of scenario where it's still the same except it just brands under you? I know GoDaddy has a deal like that. We tried that for a second. I hated it. Um,
Well, here's the thing: is like, why do I need a white label? Who said? Why is the client going in the host?
well, the reason we do it is I want it to be all in one. I want everything to be under our brand. I want it to all be us. And I don't want them to have to go out and buy a hosting package or anything like that themselves. I used to, now listen, I've done a 180 on this. Up until recently, I wouldn't touch hosting. I made them get their own domain. I still make them get their own domain, but made them get their own hosting, all of that. I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to touch it. What if we walk away? What if we leave, right?
Right.
I don't want to control it. Well, in this case, as a monthly subscription sort of package deal, I think it makes sense to do it. And the other reason I like to do it is because I have everything on my box that I know I have set up the way I want it, that I know is not going to go down, and everything is centralized in one place. Especially if you use like the WP command line tool, you
Mm.
can run through and update everybody's plugins and stuff super, super easily and fast. You can do it off of, with things on different boxes, but you got to go in and set each side up when you onboard it in there. It's just easier for me. And then we have stuff where we do a lot of custom functionality. Like we just did a project where you have to generate a PDF based off of the data that they enter into
Hmm.
some
Yeah,
forms.
I
And
just did that similar thing. Only it was CSV,
and
which
so we had to run a PHP extension in order to do it well, which if you go to GoDaddy, you have no control over
yeah,
that or one of these other people. It's never going to work. So, and then try to tell GoDaddy that you want them to install the mbam extension for PHP or something, right?
yeah, they're just like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, yeah, and that's where I have to weigh it, right? Is because um like I've looked into some of this stuff and I've been like, okay, well, like one of the things that like I love about WP Engine is like its security, right? The security is phenomenal. They when you make a new WordPress install, it it builds out in like a way that is more secure. To be honest, I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's been good to me. Um, and then I can integrate it with Git. I can integrate it with Git. I can integrate it with any command line stuff I want to do. That's super nice.
Hmm.
Um, and here's the other thing: is that like what I've been doing is I've been launching people's sites via their own host. Now, how much money do you make a year off of like your minimal hosting package? Like for the host, like how much profit are you making off your host?
It's tough to say because we don't really ever just host, right? If we're
Right.
going to host it, we're going to do like a maintenance package and stuff. And so our bottom tier is 99 a month on hosting. Now that's the other reason though that we did what we did with AWS is because I can run this this VPS instance with cPanel and WHM and onboard these things. It's really no skin off our ass as far as cost. Our server's going to cost us the same no matter what, really. So to throw them in there, as far as just having a site there, really doesn't matter. Most of these things are small enough anyway, where the storage is
Yeah.
minimal, and to where if I was going to do a deal where I was setting them up on WP Engine, Bluehost, GoDaddy, you name it. If I'm going to incur the cost on that gets to be a lot more expensive than if I run a VPS of my own.
Are
Um,
you like offering like CDN packages or anything along those lines?
I can. We can use S3 Cloud Host. We do that on one of our own projects right now on there. I don't do that as the standard. I think I don't know. I've been thinking about that actually a little bit lately on if we should or not. Now we do offer, we do the SSLs for free, just because why not? They're free anyway. So, and ours is actually set up now with using that Let's Encrypt and cPanel. When we set up a new cPanel instance, it just automatically throws it in.
Do you use
Even
cPanel?
what's that?
Do you use cPanel?
Yeah. Um, yeah, that was a problem I had because we were doing AWS stuff before we decided to get into the hosting, and it never mattered. I never cared about cPanel because I do everything from the command line usually anyway.
Hmm.
But then we said, oh, we want to start hosting, and I thought, well, we kind of need cPanel or something, Plesk or something. I like cPanel better. Um, it was a bear. It was a son of a gun to get that set up within
That's the
AWS.
thing though, is that if I'm gonna offer that as a solution, I almost feel like right now I don't know if I'm better off hosting it myself because it'd be like a big barrier for me to get to before I can start offering it. You know what I mean? Because
Well,
there's a lot I'd have to learn, man. Like from what you're telling me, like I don't know.
well, don't do it with AWS. That's the key right now.
Like,
uh, do see, I guess, see what WP Engine has. See if they have a hosting, a VPS solution where you can set up cPanel accounts or like a reseller account or something like that. If not, find a decent. And
well,
that's tough.
I'm an affiliate program now, like a reseller package, like. Because I mean, I really like the fact that like they like I get a $200 check in the mail and totally forgot I was getting it and then it comes. Um,
Well, but here's the thing with your affiliate, you're getting what, a 10% or 15% kickback on it, but you still don't control it at the end of the day. Um,
No, I don't. I mean,
that
I mean, I have access to it. When I launch it for them, I set it up to set up my account as a
See
like.
what I want to happen on a subscription package is I want them to have a recurring charge every month or every year, whatever it is, and it's only to us. That's hosting everything all in one shebang. I don't want them paying a little bit to a hosting company and then paying the rest to us, and then that hosting company also undermining us, saying, "Oh, great deal, only freaking $10 a month website. Use our website builder, blah blah blah." And then these people call us, go, "Well, our host is offering this stuff for $10 a month," and I go, I have to explain the difference of shit like that and stuff. I don't know. I want to control it all at this point. Maybe I'm a control freak. I want it all. But
Yeah,
I would much rather, because like I said, once you have the server, the cost is the same. It's really not hurting you as far as just adding another website in, but I would rather be able to control my charges and stuff on that also. And to me, it's just a much more convincing sell when I tell somebody, "Well, we're going to do it all for you, right? You don't
sure.
have to worry about anything. Go get a domain, and that's it. Once you have your domain, we'll do the rest."
You do
It
content too?
depends. Depends on the project, I guess. A lot of times they'll have like an existing website we'll pull content from and then tweak it and keyword optimize it and stuff, and then I'll have them run through and say, anything you want to change, blah blah blah. If it's something more severe, then we'll have a copywriter come in and do it. um you know it, what we can do for copy is only so much. I don't know their business, so
Right.
somebody's got to somebody's got to tell me at least the gist of it. um we just did an insurance site for a lady, and uh, the copy they gave me to work with was like sentences. It's like, I mean, we can go out and find I mean, I do know the space, so I guess I have a leg up on that. But we
Yeah,
ended up like looking at other fucking people's websites, going, let's
I've done
steal
that.
this and let's
I've
steal
done that.
that.
I've done a
What's that?
lot of
Yeah, I mean, God, when you can't give us any copy, what do you want us to do? But it worked, I guess.
I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna sit here and am I gonna wait for assets, or am I gonna like deliver them some copy so that they can do the thing that they want to do, which is edit it?
Yeah. Well, I guess as far as the build goes, if you just get some copy in there, get them started.
Right.
If they don't have a lot of copy for you, then you can have them go in, and at least it'll give them some ideas, and then they can go, oh yeah, let's do that, let's do this, and then if you build it right to where they can go in and edit that stuff easily, then they can go in there whenever they want and tweak it, without having to call us and do it, I guess. But so what
So
are you thinking on this events thing? Are you leaning towards like a recurring package deal then, I'm assuming?
hours of events, because I'll tell you why. Because what happens is nobody really does anything until 6 months before the event.
Hmm.
So I mean, I was thinking maybe I could do a yearly deal. Um, but events are also very year to year. They could be, but like it's like in that 6 months, like a lot happens. You know what I mean? You're doing a lot of marketing. You're doing cold emails. You're reaching out. You're trying to scrape directories for local events. That I mean, what a lot happens is most of these shows are ran by local people who like have been to other shows, know who around them is going to buy, right? And they're gonna
So
like,
so you're talking about more of the one-off events as opposed to a company doing multiple events a year.
oh, there's that too. I was looking at that as well. There's ACS. That's a big company. They're probably top in the country that does this. And I'll show you what they do. They do home shows and they do two other types of shows. I forget. Where are they? What the fuck are they called? It's like I'm gonna look up ACS home shows. There we go. American Consumer Shows. So what they do is they build out all these shows for, and I was thinking like I could try and sell companies like this. However, there's not much I can offer these guys that they don't already do. You know, like they got an in-house marketing team. They build out by they like create. They have like templates that they've built that they launch a site. They just call it like whatever the region is, home show, and then like they have all these like generic testimonials that just say at the home show, right? And they're like all like super generic, but they're like it's working for them because they're doing TV, they're doing radio, they're doing online, they're doing AdWords, and they're doing display ads, and they're doing pretty well. They run probably 150 shows a year.
Hmm.
Um, now, what I think people are going to want from me as a company like this is they're going to want more of like a SaaS solution.
Hmm.
Like, okay, I want to be able to go in there and I want to be able to manage my email marketing, or I want to be able to manage my I want it all to hook into my website, and I want all and I want people to be able to select what booth they want online, or I want them, you know what I mean? Um, and a lot of that can be automated. I can build something for, and a lot of that I can't. They just chose not to. Like if you look at that list I sent you, if you click on who exhibits, you can see all the different stuff they do. Oh, where is it? What the fuck? Um, oh no, I sent you the wrong link.
So you're kind of talking about needing like a custom plugin solution here.
Well, I'm trying to offer. I mean, the only reason why I'm talking about that is because I want to offer value beyond what the fuck Dream Design's doing, Dreamco. You know what I mean? Like, because
Right.
if you look at the first two links I sent you, they're identical pages with just a different title and different websites picked out, and they're
Right.
saying we're niche. Now, how do I compete with them? I do what they do better, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not tough to compete with this, man. They're just regurgitating simple design with
Right,
different
right.
keywords. I mean, if you're gonna do this, I mean you got to actually put a package together that that makes
Sense.
sense for these
Putting in
people, that is value add, right? These guys are just like, we're gonna build you a website. Hey, game designers, we're gonna build you a website.
yeah.
Um, where if you can show where you've at least, I mean, forget going in the weeds with it, MVP this thing, right? Minimal viable product. um, do what they're doing. Obviously you're giving them a website, but then go get a freaking events plugin. I mean, we just used one. I don't like any of them. It's on my to-do list to build our own someday. But the one we just used lets you buy seats and see how many seats are left and shit like that. It was like
You're saying just
30
go
bucks.
grab one. Just go find one and grab
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And it just get something in there so that people can, purchase a seat or a ticket or whatever, and make it look halfway decent. I mean, at least you can launch and start doing something. You're already ahead of these guys. Maybe it's not the greatest in the world. Maybe it's not what you really want right now, but hell, get it started and maybe upsell these guys a year from now, saying, "Hey, we have a better, events solution for you. Let's upgrade you to the custom plugin that you ended up building or something, right? For X amount of dollars or
I
some
mean,
crap."
what I think people really want, I can build out or find a pretty good solution for would be the booking side of it, right? So for event exhibitors to be able to.
Yeah, because here's where you're going to run into trying to find a good third-party plugin solution. A lot of these things end up going through a third-party SaaS. Like, even though you're putting the plugin on here,
Mhm.
you're still paying buco bucks for some other API system to
Yeah, and
handle.
it'll be like some crazy thing like per user per month.
Yeah, and they're high. I mean, the one we used on this project the other day, it was cheap enough. I think it was like 30 bucks or something, but you get what you pay for though too. I mean, it works, it does the job. You can buy a seat, you can see how many seats are left or tickets or whatever. But to really work with it, you got to kind of know what you're doing. You got to override. The grid system sucks. Um, you know, it
Well, I
had its
don't,
issues.
that's where I find a lot of better use, or I find better luck in like custom building the design and things like that, and then taking a simple program or plugin that's very good, right? Like for instance with like that timesheet plugin I made. I made a timesheet plugin the other week for a client, and it has a front end where people can submit their timesheets. And it's a little bit more complicated because they have a complicated business, and you gotta like there's like job numbers and each job number, and then there's like uh, different types of pay based on job numbers, and then who the employee is, and all this crap. So I had to like figure all that out, and what I used is for the back end, I just used data tables. .js. You ever use that?
Hmm.
Oh, it's awesome, dude. Hold on, I gotta send you that. Oh my god, you don't know about data tables. I love these guys. I mean, I love this stuff. It's so great. Um, and then that just like that literally made all I had to do was dump the info in the format that it came out of the database into the format that was accepted by this plugin, and it was like beautiful. It did everything I needed it to do. And then I just added for each row, I made an export CSV function for it.
So what's this do?
Data tables is it's a jQuery plugin. Um, and it allows you to take information from JSON documents or PHP databases or even custom entered, and it automatically paginates it. There's different like ways you can do it. You can make expansive columns. There are searchable. They're searchable tables, and basically takes an HTML table and it turns it into this whole like thing.
Are
That's
they
like
responsive? Do they collapse down or anything, or they
I'll
stay
show
in the
you
same?
how what I did. I made a custom code to make it collapse down. It's pretty simple. Um, Actually, here I'll just send you a link of this, and I'll show you how I formatted it to collapse down because it was pretty simple. But I took um, basically what you do to make them collapse down. There's a couple of things you can do. You can either have it remove. You make it scrollable on the bottom. That's what Bootstrap does for responsive tables. Um,
So are you doing true tables or pseudo tables?
they're true HTML tables.
Okay.
Um, you can break them down by making it so that like with a media query when it's less than this, you hide the visibility of this column and then you make a before for each one, and then they're right next to each other, right? So like you would say name, area, position, office, age, start date, salary, and then each value, and then you do a line, and then you do name all over again, all those different titles for each row and all the different values for each row, and you break it down that way vertically.
Hmm.
So then it's responsive. You can see that done here. Here, I'll show you this. So here, check this out. Grab that, and then you can see how it's set up first, like on a desktop, and then make the screen smaller, and you can see what I mean by it breaking it down. You just reformat it, and then you use
Sure.
befores in the CSS, and you can just grab like the content from the first row.
Gotcha. Huh.
You see how I did it?
Yep.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Um, Trying to think here.
This is a pain in the ass to build.
It's a long ass form, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a pain in the balls. I used to live for the days, but even still, pain in the ass.
Huh.
Because then you got like the pluses and minuses for like each job number. You got to be able to like add and remove forms, and then like it's just it was fucking confusing. Um, but anyways, we totally got off topic here. What were we even talking about? We were talking about okay how I can provide value. So a booking system, right? So yeah, okay. So we were talking about like creating our own booking system or like what that would look like, and I was saying like generally like what I do is I just find chunks of software, right? Like I find like an open source thing that's well built like data tables, and I'll use that for like the front end of the back of like how I'll build the back end instead of like building out the back end custom like design too and all this other shit or like functionality or like a search function and all this like you know what I mean?
Mm.
I'm not gonna rebuild all of that. Like I'll take chunks of a lot of different software and I'll just mush them together so that I don't have to like redo everything that the wheel has ever made. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of development still involved with that. There is.
Well, the biggest issue is if you're going to do that, you're going to need a way for these guys to purchase tickets or reserve seats and stuff. And so whatever it is has to your cornerstone has to be based on a good solid solution there where you can plug in like authorize.net or PayPal or
No, yeah, I'd
whatever
probably do
Stripe.
Stripe. Yeah,
Then off of there, I mean, the front end is easy enough, right? Who cares about the front end? As long as it functions well, it's secure. You can take your payments if you want. You can make it look however you want. Um, simple and clean is the key, right? You don't want to go crazy with it. Um, there's stuff out there. I know there's stuff out there, just like that thing we used the other day. Um, I don't remember what the hell it was called. Events Plus or something, maybe. I don't know. Then extend it, build off of that if you need to. If you start doing a ton of these and you're just too constrained, you got money in the bank because you just did a ton of them, then you can, justify putting a little time and energy into a custom deal.
right.
Yeah, just end of the day, the point of it is just get something together. It's not like the bar is set real high looking at
Yeah,
this other site, right?
yeah.
If that's
Apparently
something,
not. Like, I was surprised, and you can see this is hilarious, right? I'll show you this. This is
well,
so funny.
my only other concern on that is the budget. You know,
Right.
is there what's the budget range for these kinds of sites in this niche? Um, you
Hey,
know,
check this out. Look at the drop down here. Well, yes, you're absolutely right. And is it ever going to justify? Is it even worth getting into? It's a good question. I mean, they cost a lot of money to put together these events, you know. But look at that drop down under pick your niche.
hmm.
I mean, in a way, it's smart. In a way, it's really smart. But
Yeah, but they're going after too many niches. That's the
right,
problem.
and they're not
Um,
good at any of them.
no, you need to pick one, two. That's it, right? Um,
Yeah, and if you want to build out more, you can. But you know, once you're good at what you're doing, you can expand out. You know.
it's just all the same. I mean,
Yeah, it's crazy.
strictly for SEO purposes, I'm guessing. It's not even really targeting a good
Well,
message
it's not even
to.
well done SEO too, because all these pages are close to duplicates.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just wondering. It's like, the copy's a little bit different, but
Because look, they're not ranking for event web design. But their AdWords is paying for the rankings. All that was a custom post type with like where you put in your video. They made a template, and then you put in your video for the background video, and then you put in like the title, and like the rest is like the same.
Well, so here, I guess approach it like we approached the insurance agency stuff, where that's really the only niche that I have up that we've really targeted right now. Now, ultimately, we want to go after real estate agencies as well at some point, just because that's another space that uh, we're, I guess we have some experience in.
And your insurance targeting is going well.
When I target it, when I actually put energy and effort into it, we've got a few on the books, without really going too crazy with it. But what I've found though, the people that have had the interest in it is much less on, hey, we'll build you a website. The interest is really more in, hey, we'll build you a strategy. The website's just going to be a piece of it, right? It's going to be the cornerstone, but we're
How do
going to
you
help
think
you build a
about
strategy.
SEO,
Um,
people, AdWords, anything?
well, you got to the price range, the budget range, I should say, that we're kind of targeting for an insurance agency, unless there's some huge conglomerate agency. It's not huge, right? They're mostly independent, contractors with, maybe two or three agents working under them. It's not like they're super loaded. It's probably not a really great niche to go after to begin with. It's just something I knew, so I did. But what we're going to do as far as our strategy goes, I think we talked about this a little last week, is much less on SEO because it's super competitive. It's a crazy competitive niche, even locally, right? Even in your hometown, how many freaking insurance agencies are there? You can't swing a dead cat without hitting one. Um, so it's much less focused on that and much more focused on, okay, let's try to get you in the top three in the locals. Eventually, that's the ultimate goal because that's where the money's at. But until then, let's figure out, let's build a site that's going to convert. Let's optimize that thing so that your
Yeah,
visitors know exactly what to do, right? Get that piece nailed out, and then let's look at what you're doing for marketing now. A lot of these guys do direct mailers, like we said. We'll help them set up a landing page system where they can have a landing page for each promotion they do, so they can track it and better focus their message for that particular promotion. um, let's make this website work for you for referrals, because it's such a referral driven industry. you know when you onboard, when you get a new policy, I always had a welcome letter at the top attached to that policy when I sent it out to them. Let's have that website page that's focused for getting referrals front and center on that thing. Hey, ask for the referral. Hey, do you have any friends? We're happy we helped you out. You know, please refer friends here. Go directly
right.
to our
Okay.
site. Blah blah blah. It's more of an overall, not just online. Even it's more overall. How can we take everything you're doing and make this 24-hour salesperson you have, which is called a website, help you do a better job? And especially in a business like that, where you hear the word insurance agent and you just cringe a little bit. You go, God, I don't want to be sold to. People are way more likely to go to your website than they are to pick the phone up and call you. So, let's use this thing while we're trying to get you to start ranking in the locals. Now, locals, yes, I would consider that maybe SEO to a point,
It
but
is.
really what we're doing is okay, go get your freaking Google business account set up. Go get your Bing places account set up. Go get Yelp set up. All right, let's start working on getting some reviews on
Right.
Google and Yelp, and because that'll help a little bit. Let's make sure we have our keywords optimized on the site so that we'll gain a little bit more there. Now, where we stop short of is offsite SEO, because I don't have the manpower or the energy or the focus right now to do link building campaigns and
Yeah, I
citation
mean, that's what it comes
campaigns.
down to is it's content and links.
Yep,
If that's SEO in a
yep.
fucking so if
but here's my theory though, because at
I'll
some
tell you what,
point,
I
it's
outsource that though. I still
well,
sell it and outsource it. Link building.
well, my theory on this, since we just started doing this stuff this year, our focus was always strictly partner agency, white label stuff until this year. But my theory is we get these guys set up with this now. Hopefully we start to get a little bit of improvement for these guys, and then so next year when that first year's contract's up, um, like I said, we go from a 300 a month for the first year, and then month 13 we drop to 99, and that's where I turn around whether or not we have an in-house solution for full-blown SEO or not. I can still outsource that to somebody, to you
Yeah.
or whoever.
Right.
And because honestly, they're not ready for a full-blown SEO campaign yet anyway.
Mhm.
A lot of these people, we're taking the shittiest sites you can imagine. I mean, these things look like they're built in GeoCities in 1999. So, let's get these things, get us some age under them, get something going on, and then a year from now, maybe we'll start talking about that. Maybe doing even some A/B testing, some conversion tracking, and heat mapping stuff like that. But
I always start with just trying to get traffic first, and then I go into the optimization because I just don't have enough data to work with until then. You know.
my problem with the SEO, if you go in on that leg, man, they're every swinging dick out there sending them an email every single day. We make you number one Google tomorrow, blah blah
Right. But
blah.
the
And
different is that you do SEO for the insurance agencies, right? And you do SEO for the insurance agencies as well as their web design. You are the digital solution for insurance companies.
well, plus my other issue with it is for me to do a full blown really good SEO campaign for somebody like that, they would have to have a pretty good budget because I'm not going to sit there and link
Yeah.
build for them all
It's
fucking
gonna
day
cost them
for $100 a month, right?
$2,000 to link build a year, just link building, and then the content's another 1,000. If you outsource it, you know, decent, and I'm talking decent links, like not like I'm not talking like fucking, you know, I mean, even
Directories
link
and
earning.
crap.
I'm not talking like link earning where you're like outsourcing to these blogs. Because here's the problem with link building now, which is adds a whole nother complicated thing, is that you can't fucking buy guest posts anymore. Like the sites that give out guest posts, their link juice isn't worth anything anymore.
Well, no, not if they're just doing guest blogging. It's just listen, it's the same theory it's always been. Used to be reciprocal linking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly that was stupid. And then it was, well, and then it's these sites that would sell links. Like they would buy a domain with some PR on it, right? And then they just turn around and sell freaking blog roll links.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's not going to work. All the link juice is going out to all these other shitty sites. Um, and listen, this stuff's changed a lot since I used to really focus. I mean, this was something I used to live and breathe 10 years ago. Um,
Right.
Shit's changed. I mean, even your anchor text, back when I was doing this, you wouldn't dream of getting a link without a good keyword anchor text in it. And now you've got to watch that because so many percent have to have your title, so many percent need just be the URL, and only a certain percent can be keywords. And it's so much more focused on related sites than it used to be. Back in the day, it didn't really matter as long as it had good PR and it was legit, it was good. Now, if it's good PR and legit, but it's completely off topic, it's not helping you as much. So that's why that's why I've stayed out of it, because I know what goes into it, and unless I'm going to focus on it myself 110%, there's no way I could really do it well. To outsource it is definitely an option for us, but the kind of sites we've been building for these people and the places these people are in their businesses right now, I don't think it would behoove them to do an SEO campaign right away anyway. I'd much rather get the site built, actually start focusing on some of the other aspects of their business and their marketing and
Well,
get some
that's
age
why
under them.
I go for local SEO too, a lot.
Hmm.
And there's different, and that kind of crosses over with reputation management. Um, and I've actually found that there's a lower, and this is something I was interested in maybe offering as a solution first, and then because remember we were talking about upselling too, as a part of it. You know what I mean? And like, okay,
Hmm.
well, I was thinking, well, if I took that route of like doing a local SEO type of thing, and then upselling them to a website afterward. So I could take their current website and I could like maybe let's say it's built on WordPress, right? I could build a plugin that said, when people visited the site or when people did something on the site, it would say, if you've been here and you've had a good experience, why don't you click on one of these links and leave a review? Or, if you've had a concern, email us via this link so that you catch those bad reviews, you know what I mean? And then you start and then I offer that as a service first. I could offer that for nothing and it would run itself.
Hmm.
I don't know. I thought it
Um,
was a good idea.
yeah. Well, so I guess going back to the event planning thing or the event
Yeah.
site thing. I guess hash out what does this look like in your mind? Where the point you're at right now? What does
I,
the package look like? What is it?
I mean, I could build out what this is. I mean, the idea hasn't been totally solidified, but it's event planning. Or I mean, it's probably home shows specific first. Um, I'm going to, you know, probably say I do it and then build it for the first client I get, whatever that looks like. Because it's a lot easier to build something that isn't um, replicable, like replicatable, than something that is. And I'd probably build it as far as like a plugin or something for booking, or I'd find a third party solution that would work, and I would start to target it probably to start before I did AdWords or anything like that. I'd probably do I'd try it with the inbound marketing because I really want to see where that takes me. If I specified my niche towards that, and drive some traffic to it, and I'd see what happens with the traffic. that's where my mind's at, anyways.
What's your subscription package look like, I guess, right now that you're thinking?
Pricing. I could do a financing option. I'm nervous to offer monthly because these guys who do these events. I mean, they make a lot of money at one point of the year. Like, I have a friend, Steve Becker, um, and I spoke at one of his events, and he's like does these trade shows, and he runs two small business shows back to back, local in my area. And one of the things that happens is he makes probably 60% of his money for the year between those two back to back shows. His company's Premier Promotions. That's what they do. But it's really just him, and he makes these shows, and that's usually how it is, right? Like that's usually what it is, and like he'll make all his money right there, and I think it'd be a lot easier for my potential client to justify the cost as perhaps a financing option, but really a flat rate that goes into building the show because they put a lot of money up front, and then they make all their money.
I guess I'm torn on this because if you're only doing one show a year, then it's probably it's just a one-off single pay deal. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing multiple shows a year, Then what you could do is turn around and say, well, let's do it on a subscription thing because we'll focus on promoting the next one
Right.
here, and then as soon as that's done, we're gonna start promoting on this one, and then
Uh-huh.
blah blah blah, so on so on. If it's just a one offer sort of deal, I don't know. I kind of wonder what the budget would be for something like that anyway. I wonder if it's something they would be willing to put much money into, unless it was some
Depends on the
huge
show,
crazy
right?
show.
It depends on the show. It depends on the client I take. I mean, Steve probably wouldn't be a client of mine. Um, Now the people who run the home and garden home show locally, I mean, that's once a year, but they make money off that show. You know what I mean? It's a big, big show. It's a lot of money.
But it's an annual thing, right?
Hmm.
Um,
They've been doing it for about 18 years. The other thing is the retention with these clients and the amount of is pretty crazy, really,
yeah, I
because
mean,
they
I
want to do as long as they can.
if it's a big annual show and it's a good money maker and it draws a big crowd, it gets a lot of people into it. I think your monthly subscription would still work. If they wanted to do that, I mean, you always give them the option. We'll do it monthly, but if you want to do it annually, well, then we'll knock 2 months off for free or something, and just set your pricing up. Um, because in something like that, if it's an annual show, freaking, they're going to be flush with cash at one point of the year, where it would probably just be easier for them to have the payment hit them once a year then. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. For me, it's just about the recurring, right? The whole recurring revenue thing, as opposed to the build it and forget it thing. I'd rather take a look, money over time to keep
Yeah,
them in
you're
my
absolutely
pocket.
right. I just didn't know if it was possible with this client.
Well, you just feel them out, I guess. You give them the offer, say, we could do it annually, monthly, or we could do a one-off. I still tell everybody here when we talk to them, we'll do a one-off. I don't care, but you're going to pay the big chunk right now, um, and then that's it. Usually we don't even host those if we're doing those one-offs. Like I said, if they're going to host with us, I'm going to try to get a maintenance package and whatever else on top of that too. But yeah, I really like watching the books when these recurring payments come in. Now that we're doing them,
Sure,
um,
sure.
I
No, I get it. And it gives you a whole lot of better idea of your business growth and where you're going and keeping people on payroll and doing that effectively and
yeah,
all, because I mean, all I still have to start thinking that way too, because I mean, as of now, everything's been fixed costs because I've been working with freelancers, right? And I'll bill out a fixed cost and I'll do a percentage of that fixed cost for like what I need to outsource if I need to outsource or whatever. You know what I mean? I'll give myself a blended hourly rate and like, okay, well, if I have to spend more than these many hours on it, it's not worth it, kind of deal, you know?
yeah. Well, here's my thing is we have to make about a minimum of 10 grand a month in here in revenue to stay solvent, right? Just to keep the freaking door open, the lights on, and keep these guys from cutting my throat for not paying them.
Mm,
Um, and I mean that's absolute minimum. That's basically a break even where I'm not making any money. And my goal is to get to the point here where we've got that much in recurring revenue each month, where at least I know all of that's taken care of, and everything else beyond that is bonus, right? Um,
mhm.
so that's really where my focus is, because yeah, I mean when you do these single pays, especially for bigger projects, well you might make 10, 20 grand um, within a month's time off of the build. But if that's spread, I don't know if it's spread out over the monthly or something. It just seems like it's more stable.
It is.
Um,
It
and,
is.
and then after 10 months, we win. We're ahead of the game because that's the way we always set that up. And so, you know, a year from now, without any kind of recurring, what's the real value to our business? You know what I
Well,
mean?
but yeah, and what you come back with, right, is is a constant steady. Like here's, I'm just gonna make a graph, right? So like here's that was weird. My computer just made my computer over there just made like a crazy noise. Um, you've got the feast or famine, and then you've got you know the recurring revenue, and what you end up with is a model that's going to eventually outgrow it, because if you can
Mhm.
keep more clients on these recurring revenues, and you might have a dip in there at the end of the year from people who switch after their contract's up. But if you have a good new business strategy, you're going up.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for recurring for sure. But
and
I
I'm
don't
tired
know.
of being broke and not being broken.
Yeah, it's
It's
stressful,
yeah,
right?
it
Um,
doesn't work, and I can't build, right? Like I can't build a business because I don't know. I can't even put money into my own monthly advertising. I can't set a budget. You can't set a budget.
yeah.
How do I set a budget? Because I don't know how much money I'm gonna have.
Yeah, unless you've got big projects 3 months out in your pipeline that you know you have to start at least for the next 3 months. Hopefully even deeper than that. But you know, if you don't know what you're going to be working on this time next month, you're in trouble. And you know, I don't like finding myself in that position at all.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think you're on the right track with what you're talking about here. My only concern is, you know, the budget level of some of these guys, and it's, you know, I think it's soft enough. I think there's an opportunity in there. You just got to kind of work it and feel your way through. I
right,
would, you know, obviously this site you showed me, I wouldn't do what they're doing and just try to pretend like you're focusing on a bunch of other niches. You know, actually find one and actually focus on it.
right.
Um, but you know, I think you get better referrals doing that too.
Sure.
Um, so
Well, I mean, I don't know. I still got to figure out, I guess, some questions about the billing aspect of it, though. I mean, I might just throw it out there. You know what I mean? Pay me monthly, anyways. See what happens. See if people are willing to do it. I don't know if they are. I mean, my intuition is that they might not be, but maybe they would be.
on that particular niche, I don't know. I'm up in the air on it. I guess it depends what kind of events they're doing and how many they do. Um, but uh, you know,
But
I
I can't make them, especially if they do more than one event. I can't make them pay monthly per website. That's a whole different, because like it's a totally different client that I'm looking at, right? So it's a different pricing model. It's a different solution, really.
well, I so if they're completely unrelated, totally different events, I guess.
Well, they would be. You wouldn't. I mean, yeah, like okay, for Steve, right? Steve's a good example of this. He has Soho Syracuse, which is small office, home office Syracuse, and then he's got Soho Rochester, which is small office, home office Rochester, right? And so what he does is he's got two different sites. Um,
You know, hold on. The more I think about this, the more I think you just need to build a SaaS platform for this. It's so. I
yeah,
mean, do they even justify their own full-blown large site? I mean, I guess maybe for SEO and stuff, but I
yeah.
don't know.
I mean, look, I'll show you what I mean. He had me. I built these a long time ago for him, back when I was freelancing, and you can see these. Um, I mean, they're really just like, and they don't even have the dates up or anything, so the countdown clock's not working. But they're really just glorified landing pages.
It's kind of cool.
You like the scrolling effects?
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's cool. That's like the double parallax you were talking about, but like differently. Kind of
Were you
same
doing
effect.
that with parallax or just animations?
How was I doing that? Let me look at the code. How did I do that? I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, I just used transform.
Yeah.
And then I did oh, that's right. I did scroll speeds with how did I do it? 'Cause I'm not using. Oh wait. Oh, I just put straight inline JavaScript into the page too. Um, no, that's for the countdown timer. I don't remember how I did it. You know what? I couldn't tell you right now. I think for some reason I'm using something called where I made a it must be JavaScript because I've got data scroll speed equal to and then a value within each, and I set them for different divs. So it multiplies the scroll speed by whatever that value is probably for that block. And it's probably what it does is it transforms it. It changes how it transforms. Like, you know what I mean? It gives it a different transform value based on the
Hmm.
where it is scrolled on the page for up or down or whatever. So like
Yeah.
if I'm scrolling down, it'll transform it negative. It like for each time I scroll down, it'll transform it up 1 pixel. And then for 2.5, it'll do 2.5 pixels per scroll or whatever. So yeah, those lines.
Well, yeah, I guess Joe, keep hashing out your idea on this, you know, as far as how you niche into this and how you focus your message and stuff. I think you're on the right track. I think you only win. You'll know. I mean, if you focus on this for a couple months and you realize these guys just don't have the budget or you can't find enough of them. The one thing is, where can you go to get in front of these people? Other Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups,
Yeah.
Quora or whatever. How are you going to get yourself in front of that niche market? I mean, if you can do that, if they have a budget and you can get in front of them, the rest of it's pretty just gravy.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm thinking about trying the inbound marketing. I mean, what's nice about not having people on payroll is I'm not like if I screw something up here, I'm gonna be okay. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But is I mean, the reality is like I got enough saved up that I'm gonna be okay personally.
yeah.
Um,
But I'm about to sit down and bang out a deal here over the weekend. We've got a few months ago, one of our partner agencies brought an idea to us. He wanted to start niching down into health clinics and the health industry as a whole.
yeah,
And the one tricky aspect to that niche is the HIPAA compliant form solution stuff. Right now, it's tough, and I've been doing some research on it myself. Even for insurance, this is kind of a carryover, from when I used to do health insurance. We had to deal with this crap all the time, and it's only getting tighter. Um, a traditional form just doesn't work, right? You can't just have a web form that just shoots something out to an email to somebody because there's all kinds of ways for it to get intercepted from middleman attacks and all sorts of shit.
right.
Um, and third-party solutions I've found out there are pretty, A, they're expensive, and B, you go off-site. Basically, best case scenario, you embed a form, but it's still getting saved onto somebody else's site somewhere. And
Which isn't HIPAA compliant, right? Like you have to host everything yourself.
well, so to be HIPAA compliant, technically, to really do it right, you have to use an approved HIPAA compliant storage solution. So we're lucky that AWS, Amazon, is already considered a HIPAA compliant solution. In
Hmm.
order to make it truly that, you have to have a BAA with a business agreement. Basically, you just go sign a damn thing and you're in. Um, but then you need to make sure that there's SSL set up on the website and that that form submission is encrypting and getting stored on this HIPAA compliant storage solution as opposed to emailing. And so he came to us with that idea, and then this other partner that we work with has been knocking the hell out of these dental websites. We've been doing a bunch of them for him, and they all need a HIPAA compliant solution that works well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a plugin for WordPress that I'm going to extend out Caldera forms and Gravity forms, so you could use either one. Basically, our extension is going to, if that form is marked as HIPAA, it's going to hijack the submit event instead of sending it like through an email to somebody, right? It's going to
Yeah,
turn around, hit an
Caldera has a
Ajax.
hook for that, man.
What's that?
Caldera has a hook for that.
Oh yeah, Caldera has hooks. I'm sure Gravity does too. I don't work much with Gravity. We use Caldera quite a bit now, but even if they don't, I can still override it.
Yeah.
Submit it to an Ajax function that we build in a plugin that pushes that up to our storage solution. Um, and then what'll happen is we'll build out an interface in the dashboard to where only people that are given admin login credentials with the role to be able to see those forms will be able to log in, view the forms, and then they could, like open the PDF, save the PDF, whatever. They can do whatever they want to at that point, but there's no middleman attack.
Admin portals and things like that, right?
What's that?
You brand all your admin portals and things?
We do.
Do you brand them based on the client or based on code
If
mark?
they're a direct client, it's branded with us. It's got the Code Monkeys logo. Then when you go into the dashboard, we have a customized dashboard where it's got built by us in the admin dashboard, and then it's got our support ticket submission stuff in there, so they can submit a ticket right from the dashboard, and then like how-to tutorials and stuff. But if it's for a partner agency, we brand it under them. So
Yeah. Check this out. Tell me what you think of this. Because I branded it based on my client. And I was thinking about adding my own brand in there, but now where's the purpose of that other than just the fact that they feel like you're a better solution? Is that what it
well,
is?
yeah, well, so we need a fully contained all-in-one solution for these builds, right? So, and we don't want to pay some middleman out there where they have to go off-site or the customer goes off-site to do this. And so the idea is on our side, why I want to do it is because now we can charge a little bit more for that on our package. And if they're going to do it, I really want to try to push them to host with us, because at that point I know that it's SSL. Plus we have to encrypt that form data as well, and then unencrypt that form data when we get it back, right?
Yeah.
Now that's aspect one of this. This is stage one of this thing, and mostly this is for these partners that we work with. But the flip side of that, I'm really thinking about building this out as a standalone plugin for people to use, and releasing it to the repo, to where now we won't have any control over where this is being hosted at. They're going to have to make sure that there's SSL, but I can put a check in a plugin where if it's not SSL, we just give a warning and say, hey, you need SSL. And by the way, if you don't know
Now, do
how
you
to
want
do
to charge
that,
for it?
what's that?
Now, do you want to charge for it?
Oh yeah, no, to do the repo thing, we have to do a free version. Maybe they could submit like one freaking form or something. I don't know.
Yeah. How do
But
you stop people from stealing your software?
well, in this case, they're more than welcome to steal the software. I guess you can't really stop them from doing that.
Well,
Um,
you can make an API.
well, but that's really what we're doing, because where this is pushing is we're going to have an API system set up on our server that'll
Hmm.
put. It's basically the way it really works is when you hit submit on that form. Like I said, we're taking over that submission. It's going to hit an AJAX call that's going to hit our API and push that data to our API on our server. And then from that API, it's going to then store that to the database we're storing that stuff in. So you can steal our code, but you're still going to have to go out and set up your own HIPAA compliant deal, do your own paperwork to get set up to be a HIPAA compliant storage outfit, and you're going to have to do your own contracts on there, because when you do this, there's going to be a little, I agree to the terms or whatever, which has all the HIPAA, cover your ass, third party software developers may have access to this data, blah, blah, blah. So in our case, really the value for that is in our storage and encryption and stuff. So if you want to steal our plugin code, I guess you can. It's going to take me maybe a day to build the fucking plugin. It's the
Yeah,
rest of it that's tough.
sure.
Um,
Okay. Well, because that's something that I was concerned about with like doing all the event stuff. So I was like, all right, well, I want to build all this and then like sell it to a company like ACS or something like that, and then be like, oh shit, um, I fucking didn't like, and then they just fucking use it in their own, like they just, you know what I mean? Like I
mhm.
wanted to like at least have an API key or something like that, so they can't should have to pay per site or something like that, you know?
Yep. Yeah, what you're doing is pretty much the same thing that we're doing here. Basically, we just slap a logo on the login right now. I don't get too carried away with that. And then when you log in, this is basically what our dashboard looks like. Just has the logo, and you can submit a ticket and see your open tickets and blah blah blah. Walkthrough
Yeah.
videos, like a lot of times we'll do like a walkthrough and record it, put it here, and put some simple how-to steps here. Idea of this is just to try to keep the busy work calls down. Oh, I forgot. How do I add a team member? Well, you do it right there. But then I built this so that you could go in through the settings. Um, and so for this ticket submission thing to work, it goes through our CRM ticket system. And so we
Mhm.
put their actual customer or partner ID in this field, and then that's how it goes through that, and then we get alerted and stuff. And then you could put the rest of the info in here, the logo here. And so if it's for another agency, we can just come in here and tweak it up, and off they go.
Okay, and then they save that, and then what happens?
Well, so this would be the logo that you see, plus that's also the logo you see on the login. When you
Right.
add that, the phone number, email, website, customer number, like I said, so, powers this stuff. Now, I'm sure this is something we're going to continue to extend and expand on as we go. I just built this plugin 2 months ago, maybe. We've just started kind of implementing it. Um, but there's never nothing in this dashboard that's useful anyway, from just a stock WordPress dashboard. So we just
Yeah,
as
I
well
never
utilize it.
know why they have it, to be honest. Like, I've never used it ever.
I like it for something like this. It's your first thing you view, and if you're a client, well, I have a problem. Well, submit your ticket here, or I want to add a team member, but I forgot how.
I
Well,
like the ticket thing. That's cool.
yeah, and we do this for our partners too. It's just something we just kind of do for them, and so we have our CRM set up so that if it runs under a partner ID, then it alerts them as well. Now, once we actually finish our actual portal system that we're building into our site with our project management thing and all that, this will integrate in with that as well. But Rome in a freaking day. I got a lot of pet projects we're working
I
on
hear
right
that,
now.
man. I do.
Um,
Yeah. See,
dude, I'll show
you
you one
got
more
quiet.
thing. I'll show you one other pet project we're working on that is on my to-do list here to finish. So the other side of the business here, we do like computer repair and stuff and IT services. And so I'm building an application, a desktop app that uh, runs Malwarebytes and this no machine VPN / remote access thing. Um, this is where that same ticketing system and stuff is going to go, and it pulls all the computer's device information, um, and then we can come in and remote access it if we need to, if they have a
Oh,
problem. Then we're going to run logs. We'll check, the disk usage, the CPU usage, RAM usage, and if it's running too high for too long, it'll send us a automatically submit a ticket to us, so that we know to call them or whatever, and it'll give them a little notice out of the task tray. Just
interesting.
I guess we call it managed services or something like that. I don't
Now,
know,
do
but
you
that's
hire
another thing
somebody
we're doing.
in IT? Like, are you confident that like whatever their problem is, you can solve it?
I don't know. It's not my side of the business. I'm just building the app. No, yeah, for the most part, I mean, the guy that pretty much runs that side of it, he's been in this stuff for 30 years probably, I'd guess. Um, he's pretty good at it. So, and again, the reason we're even doing that is, we have a lot of older people that come in here for that kind of stuff. They don't know anything about this stuff, and there's
Right.
been a bunch of them actually that's fallen for this nonsense of, oh, Microsoft called me and said I had a problem with my computer and I had to let them have
Oh,
access to it, and they wiped my bank out. Somebody lost 40 grand in here about 6 months ago, they said.
shit. I
Yeah, and
didn't
so,
know for that. Like, I didn't.
oh, they
Wow.
fall for it all the time. And so running something like that, like I've mentioned it to some of these older ladies and stuff that's been in here. They're like, we're in. We're going to do $20 a month on it. But again, for us, it's a way to get some recurring revenue. It's this. Listen, we're in a small area anyway. It's not like we're in a big city, and
Yeah.
so, you know, I think I'd say we average probably 60 to $100 per person that comes through the door for that kind of stuff. If we can add a little bit more of a recurring on that side, it stabilizes that as well. Um, but it's something they want also. And plus, they don't have to bring their computer in here anymore. We can remote into it. We'll know when something goes bad. Plus, it'll bring in extra work. So we can go, oh, hey, we got an alert. Your disk drive's been at 100% usage for 2 days now. I think you need a new hard drive. To where before they would just be slow and they'd just be blaming the internet or something like they usually do.
Right.
Um, so, by no means are we going to get rich off of that thing, but it's simple
Well,
enough to build.
yeah. Yeah, I hear you. My fear with that is I would get caught into these services that I probably don't want to provide forever.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's we have a our office is right on the main drag here in our town, and it's, I mean, we get quite a bit of walk-in traffic, and honestly, it's most people locally know us as that, right? Computer repair and cell phone repair and IT and stuff. Even though that's a very, very small piece. I never intended to build that kind of a
Yeah.
business. It's just when we first set our office up, people kept coming in and going, "Hey, what do you guys do here? Can you fix my computer?" We're like, "No, we're coders. We program." Then one day, Dan, the other partner here, he's like, one day he just says, "Sure." He's like, "I need beer money." So, and then people just kept coming in. So then we brought Joel, this other guy, in to kind of handle the majority of that stuff. But
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen, I'm gonna try and make that. I'm also like trying to do some. I'm trying to build a. You know what I realized when I started trying to build some landing pages for white label? Is that like everything's like a secret, so I can't like put anything up that I've done or like do anything. I just have to say like I'm good at what I do.
Yeah, look at our site. We have like two or three things on our portfolio, and most of them suck, right? All the cool
Yeah.
stuff we've done has been for other agencies. Like we just built a U.S. bank app, right? Which is cool as hell for a
Holy shit.
big company. We just released that this week. I can never put that on our site. I can never say we just did a desktop application for U.S. Bank. That
Yeah.
sucks. We're working on an e-com site for a really large restaurant supply company. Again, can never ever do that. It's super custom too, like crazy custom. Like the franchisees can go in and get special deals, and depending on what franchise you're associated with is what deals you see and blah blah blah.
Wow.
Um, we can never show that. We show a freaking local plumber. So, this is not really a good story of what we really do.
Yeah, I know. And so I'll show you the landing page I've like half built. I have to rewrite this because I totally stole the copy, but it's on my staging server, so I just haven't rewritten it yet. Um, hold on. What is it? Oh, fuck, I don't remember. All right, hold on. Give me a second. I'm trying to remember though. But it's like super simple. It's just like a fucking basically a blank template that it's just like a super like clean, simple landing page that I don't know. I'm hoping will convert, but it just kind of sucks because I can't do anything interactive on it. So like, how have you found yourself marketing to white label agencies?
Um, we
Like
don't.
networking?
Well, honestly, it's why we started this group. I was trying to use Facebook groups, and I got sick of the curry, and so started my own. But we have done some email blasts. We've had some success with it. I wouldn't recommend doing much of it. It's. I mean, I don't like it. I feel dirty for doing it, but networking definitely with events in the cities here. We're just outside of the Twin Cities, so we went to like WordCamp this year. We used to go to
Oh,
Joomla Days. Just getting in front of other developers, other agencies. This year it's been weird because at the beginning of the year we laid out a pretty good plan, a pretty good strategy. On both improving processes and getting more aggressive on expanding and growing. Problems have been that on the marketing side of things, we've been so busy on actual development that I haven't put nearly the time I'm supposed to into that side of it, and we're suffering for it a little bit because I really wanted to have more direct business on the books by this time this year, and we don't. I mean, we have a handful of them. And that's because honestly, our biggest problem is that US Bank app we just released, and another desktop app that we built at the same time. SOWs got messed up, and things went south on those, and I'd almost say we probably lost money on that US Bank app build, which that should never happen for a company that large. But we're working with another agency in between us, right? Is the one that brought us that project, and they're in chaos. They were really bad in chaos at the beginning of that build. We've basically forced them to start using an agile board and to use some of our project management stuff. And they're actually the main reason we decided we want to build our own project management system.
wow.
Just because we went so far over scope on that, and we couldn't stop it. Uh, because what happens is we send out the estimate and the SOW and that crap, and then they turn around and give us a PO, a purchase order, and it got confused with a project we were going to do a couple months prior to that we ended up abandoning because it didn't make sense. and it was at way lower hours, and I didn't catch it until all of a sudden they said, "Well, we're at scope." I said, "That's impossible." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh fuck!" I said, "I wouldn't build this for my mom at this rate."
Yeah.
So I mean, it is what it is. We got a few more hours tacked into it. I mean, it wasn't all in all. I'd say we lost about 10 grand over
That
that
sucks.
fiasco, because it not only from what we lost out of that in hours worked, but it also put us behind on a couple other projects that should have been done faster, and so that pushed our cash flow out. One of those projects that got delayed went south on us, so we lost about 4 grand off of that. Um, so you got to really pay attention to the paperwork because it
That's
was not
wild.
good.
That's insane. Okay. No shit. That's scary.
Mm-hmm. Lessons learned. Well, we were so swamped, though. I mean, honestly, the reason it happened, I should have caught it, but we started this app and we started another one for that agency the exact same time, and we had, I don't know, 3 or 4 probably WordPress builds going on at the time. But then these guys were dealing with half a dozen different people at this agency, and none of them knew what the other one was doing. We had no agile board in place at the beginning, and they were sending us assets in Dropbox and email and HipChat. Very seldom, once in a while, they would actually put it in Confluence like they're supposed to, and then they would go, "Well, did you get the assets?" It's like, "No, I've never seen it." Now it's been an hour just trying to find the asset, and then only to go find out
Right.
that they never even sent the asset to us. They thought they did, but they didn't know. And so about halfway through those builds, I just said stop. I said, "This is how this happened." I kind of threw a baby fit, I guess. I was about ready to just quit.
No,
Um,
sure.
but
Fucking, that's a lot of money. I'd throw a baby fit too, man.
I did. I kind of cried a little bit, but
I'd be.
it, it's in a better place now. I mean, they're in a better place because we made them be in a better place. But honestly, it was good. It's really good because I just had a call with the CEO of that agency yesterday. She called up trying to give me hell, trying to ride my ass about not having a couple sections of this ecom site done. And I said, "Well, you just sent us assets the night before at 3:30." I said, "Of
Right.
course it's not done." She's like, "Well, no, you've had assets for weeks." I said, "We have not." I said, "We got assets for them last night at 3:30." "Oh, no, you've had them." I said, here's Confluence, time stamped yesterday, 3:30. Confluence timestamp doesn't lie. So, oh well, I need to see why there's discrepancies on this, where you guys think you don't realize you have assets. I was like, "Marge, there is no discrepancy or us not realizing we have assets. We did not get assets until 3:30 yesterday." "Oh well," she never did admit that.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that now they can't argue.
Right, exactly.
They can't
Uh,
pretend.
yeah,
Can't blame you for something that's their fault.
yeah. I don't care if they want to blame shit on us. It's fine, but I'm not. I'm just
Well,
gonna
I mean,
freaking work all weekend for you on a holiday weekend because you think I've had assets for weeks.
right.
Uh,
Okay.
Anyway, I guess we probably better shut this thing down pretty quick. We've been on here a while. I didn't figure we'd have much in this meeting today, uh, being
Yeah, it's the
Black.
holiday. I'm
Oh,
working today because I'm fucking crazy, but
well, I'm working on our own projects this weekend, so it's not like I'm really working, right? If it's our own,
you can call it that.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna try and put that together. At least starting with the events, or if I come up with some crazy idea that's better, I will. But right now I'm sticking to the events.
I
And,
honestly, Joe, I'd do a little more research on that though before you get too too deep into it. I do some keyword research, just see how many searches a month you could be looking at,
Oh, sure.
and
Yeah.
then I don't know how you would do it, but try to wrap your mind around what you'd be looking at budget wise for these guys. You know, what would be the norm on these kinds of sites? Because
I mean,
if
nothing can't. I mean, it can't be under. I almost feel like I can't do work for like a WordPress site for under 3 grand.
no, you can't. That's listen. Even on these partnership deals here, 2 grand's the absolute cheapest we can do one, and that's strictly simple WordPress informational thing that we can bang out in a couple days. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, if there's not at least 3 grand for a budget on these things, even for a simple one, but you're talking about a custom plugin or some kind of a custom solution for events and purchasing tickets and stuff, that's an e-com site technically. So we wouldn't touch an e-com site for under five direct. So
No, am I charging monthly? Like, I'm not advertising that price. Now, I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I don't really know if that's in the budget for a one-time event. I don't even see that. Because when I did this for Steve a long time ago, you know what? I do have a friend of mine who runs his own home show. I forgot about him actually. He runs his own home show and he does marketing for another home show. I probably want to give him a call.
yeah, because that would be the only deal breaker for me on something like this is if the people you're trying to sell this to, 99% of them don't have a budget.
Hmm.
Realistically, I mean, you can't do this for $500 for fuck's sakes. I mean, it's not worth the time. So,
Yeah.
um,
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. That's what I'll do. All right, man.
all right. Have a good weekend. I'll throw this recording up, even though it was just us. It was still good. So,
Yeah. No, we talked about some good stuff. I mean, once we get some together, I think where it's gonna get real interesting is if I can, once I get something together and I've confirmed something, because it's kind of cool. Because what's going on here is like people are gonna be able to see like how I go from a broad agency to like specifying to a niche to targeting those people to actually getting clients in. If like we go over this for a few weeks.
yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be cool to watch the progress and to see how it
Right.
plays out. Um,
And for anyone who like involves themselves in this, like if we actually follow up, hold each other accountable, and like make moves on those things, we can
yeah.
see that. And
Well, I like this platform we use this time around too.
yeah, I mean, nice, and the connection's really good. It's
Yeah,
way better.
we can have up to 30 people in it on the plan I have.
Hmm.
So we don't have to break out super fast if it gets big. So
Right, right. Yeah, that's good.
all right, I'm gonna
All
let
right,
you
bro.
go. Have a good weekend, man.
Yeah, you too.
All right, see ya.
Later.